Hey guys, how's it going? It's just past noon here, so we're about 5.5 hours away from kickoff of the 2018 NFL season. Excuse me. So it's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to the season. We're going to watch a lot of good games. I'm going to get to see my team win some games. I just don't know how many. It could be, I think somewhere between 6 and 11. So it might not be a great year. It might not even be a decent year, but I mean, this stuff's easier to deal with when you win a Super Bowl, and this core, the core that we had from 2012 to 2017 and is now mostly gone, that team won a Super Bowl. They climbed to the top of the mountain and planted their flag. So I can understand that we were going to pay for it eventually. When you win a Super Bowl and you assemble a great roster, you have to overpay players, you have to lose players, players get bigger egos, shit happens, and at some point you have a couple of bad seasons. And that might be what we're dealing with right now, but it was worth it because we won a Super Bowl, and that's the goal that every team in the NFL should have. It's not the case for every team. I think there are teams out there that have lower standards, but at the end of the day, you're doing it all to win a Super Bowl. So the fact that we were able to do that means I can deal with a season like this where I think the team could maybe go 6-10. It was worth it. So I'm going to be on a more even keel this year, I think. I'll make another video about that kind of thing specifically soon. But the Earl video I made yesterday, I got a lot of comments going in different directions, which I like. It shows diversity of thought. It shows that Seahawks fans are thinking for themselves. I see it on Twitter as well. Some people are happy he's back. People are neutral. People are like, we should have just traded him. Other people are saying, we should have given him his money before he got pissed off. I like that. It shows that people are looking at things and coming to their own conclusions. They're not just parodying Field Goals or ESPN or a beat writer or anything like that. But look, I'm not saying that me being happy is definitely the right emotion to feel right now. This can go wrong for us in a few different ways. I agree. Earl could go out this year and not play good, and then we're like, we should have just taken the fucking second-round pick. He can go out there and play phenomenally well and show that he's still a good safety for years to come and then just not want to re-sign with us. He could, we could have a really bad season, and then we're like, we should have just taken the second-round pick because he didn't help us win this year, and he's going to be gone next year anyway. It can go wrong. My thing, and the reason why I'm good with it and why I'm happy he's here for one more year, even though I don't think he's going to be here. Oh, hey, buddy. Say hello to a visitor. He's not my dog, but he's visiting for a few weeks here. My thing is that Earl Thomas is the third best player in Seahawks history behind Steve Largent and Walter Jones. And I'm never going to be sad about us having Earl Thomas for another year. Like, if you put two doors in front of me, one is Earl plays for your team this year, the other is Earl plays for another team this year, I'm not going to be unhappy when we walk through that first door. It just can't happen because he's still all-world. He's still an all-pro level safety. He can help me win games. Like, Earl could be the difference between winning 8 games and 10 games this year. He could be the difference between 7 and 9. So I can't be sad about having Earl back for 1 year, even if the circumstances are not ideal. So that's where I'm coming from. Okay. So tonight we have a game, and I want to talk about this game real quick because it's very relevant. And to any Seahawks fan out there who is trying to think about what kind of season we can have and whether or not we can make the playoffs, before you even think about this roster, which is flawed, but it's got a lot of good stuff on it, look at this conference. And I am not some dumb talking head on ESPN or Fox News, or excuse me, Freudian slip, Fox Sports, I guess it's the same network, who doesn't really know what's going on and is just like, oh, I think this conference is going to be so good this year. All these teams have a chance to be really good this year. I think the Browns are going to get it together, and, the Titans are going to go 14-2 with Mariota. I'm not some guy who, like John Gruden when he worked on Monday Night Football and was like, oh, that team is so good. Matt Castle's a great quarterback. I'm not some overly positive guy who thinks every team is going to be good, because it's easier to be positive when you're trying to get paid millions of dollars to talk about sports. But this conference is terrifying this year. The NFC, I wish we were an AFC team this year. I really do. And we're going to see a little bit of it tonight. So we as Seahawks fans should be watching tonight with tremendous interest. You got the Philadelphia Eagles, reigning Super Bowl champions. They won the Super Bowl with their backup quarterback, backup left tackle, backup linebacker, because they lost their quarterback like 3/4 of the way through the season. They lost their star left tackle and their star linebackers midway through the season. They got nothing from Ronald Darby when he came back from an injury. He basically missed the whole season with an injury when you really think about how badly he played when he got back. And they stomped a mud hole in the NFC. Okay, they beat teams with their backup quarterback in games where he played like shit. They beat the crap out of the Vikings with their backup quarterback in the NFC title game. They blew them out by like 5 touchdowns or something. And they have a phenomenally deep pen of pass rushers that has only gotten deeper this year. They have the best coach in football right now. Doug Peterson is the best head coach in football. And I see a team that should be better this year. They still have a bunch of different competent running backs. They still have that great offensive line. They still have, Wentz is better than Foles, regardless of what Foles did at the end of the year last year, or earlier this year, rather, since it was all in the playoffs, basically. And that team, I would pick them to go 14-2 or 15-1 most seasons. They look like a juggernaut. The Minnesota Vikings, 13-3 last year with a third-string quarterback and a second-string running back. Diggs was unhealthy for most of the season, and they damn near won the conference. So this year they upgraded at quarterback. Reasonable people can debate how much they upgraded at quarterback, but they did upgrade there. They upgraded at running back because they got Cook back. If Diggs is healthy this year, that's an upgrade at wide receiver. And they upgraded on defense with guys like Sheldon Richardson, and they still have Harrison Smith, who is all-world. They still have Anthony Barr and Xavier Rhodes. It's just a loaded team that was able to go 13-3 last year with a roster that was maybe it was 12-4, I can't remember, with a roster that was beat up. They played their whole season, basically, with a third-string quarterback. And now they have the, darling of the free agent 2018 period. So that team is loaded. The Rams were 11-5 last year. They have a quarterback entering his third year, so he should get better. They have maybe the best running back in football with Todd Gurley. They added Brandon Cooks. They added Namkada Suh. They added Aqib Talib, who is not what he used to be, but still good. That team is trying to dominate the league for 1 year, because next year they're going to lose some guys. I understand Suh is not going to be there. Talib is probably not going to be there. Brockers is probably not going to be there. What they're doing for this year. And this year I see a team that addressed a lot of the holes that they had last year and they could run a chainsaw through the conference. They could win 13 or 14 games. I mean, the biggest question mark on their team is Jared Goff, and he had a good year last year. I don't believe he's a superstar, but he's a decent quarterback at the least. So there's a dominant team. The Saints were very good last year with a rookie running back who should be great again this year. They've very possibly gotten even a little better on defense. I think they'll be at least as good as they were last year when they won 11 games. So there's another potential 12-win team very easily. They still have one of the best quarterbacks in the business with Breeze. And unless you're going to say, oh, this is the year Breeze finally falls off, then I'm going to say that team is going to be a threat to run away with the conference. So that's a 4-headed beast of potential juggernauts in this conference. If you took any of those 4 teams and put them in an average conference, I would pick them to win 14 games. But there's no way they can do that because they're going to be competing against each other, but they're still going to be all really, really, really good. And then after those 4 teams, the Packers with Aaron Rodgers are always a threat to win 10 games because Aaron Rodgers does things that no other quarterback in NFL history can do. I believe that Aaron Rodgers by himself with a bunch of bums around him can go win 10 games if he stays healthy and plays well. You got the Panthers, who have a great defense, and they have Cam Newton. They have a couple holes, but what they have could be enough to win 10 games this year. You have the Falcons, who are loaded with talent. It really comes down to their coaching staff, but they are just as talented as any of those teams I listed in the top 4. They, last year had some offensive play calling problems when they lost Shanahan. If they can address that even a little bit, they could, put on a great season and go 12-4 or something. So the conference is terrifying, guys, and we're going to see a preview of it tonight because tonight we got the Eagles and the Falcons, 2 teams that you look at their roster, and as a Seahawks fan, I'm like, they have a much better roster than us this year. So, let's watch tonight for a preview of what this conference could offer and hope that I'm wrong about some of these teams because, I think some of the teams in the NFC are going to suck this year. I think that the Giants are going to be bad. I think the Buccaneers are going to be bad. I think that, honestly, the Cowboys are going to be pretty bad. The Redskins should be average. The Lions should be average. The 49ers should be average. The Cardinals should be below average. But the top end of this conference is going to make it so hard for this team to fight for a playoff spot. And as a Seahawks fan, that's even bigger than our problems. Our problems are, our problems, but the real problem is that goddamn conference. So tune in tonight. We'll see what kind of stuff we're going to be facing this season. But we could be a really good team this year, and we still don't make the playoffs just because of these teams we have to deal with. All right, I'm out. Everyone enjoy the game tonight. Gonna have fun. I'll make some more videos soon. Peace out.